Ride through the city like Brennan Schaub. I'm on a mission to get it all. Ride through the city like Brennan Schaub. If you ain't thick, please don't get involved.
And now, Brandon Thick Boy Schaub.
If you didn't see, I posted Q&A on my Instagram story. You guys DM me. I go through all of them. We had so many, so we'll do our job here to try to answer a lot of them, but there's so many. Thank you guys, because when they're like, go do a Q&A, I'm like, we're going to get like 3 questions. But
also, sorry, my first time here, so sorry if I asked any questions.
I love it. No, okay. I love it. That's why you're here, brother.
Okay.
I need someone to bounce off of.
Because I don't want anybody being like, who the fuck is this yapper?
No.
His name's Nick Simmons, all right?
Yeah.
I'm a stand-up comedian and friends with these guys.
But you know MMA. Mm-hmm. So let's go up to let's see who asked this question, Chin. That's why I sent the whole thing. D_Gutierrez?
Yeah. D_Gutierrez.
So go down. Do you really think that there will be that many title fights at the White House, or is it going to be some White House championship belts and the winner gets? I do think he's onto something. So I do think, because they made up the BMF title. Like, that's not a real belt. That's just another way for them to capitalize on it, because anytime casuals see belts on the line, they tune in. So that's why you get the BMF belt, right? The Rock was like, BMF, and they jerk that stuff off. So I do think you're going to get some sort of White House belt.
Like a U.S. championship?
Like the Trump belt, or it's going to be something like that.
Yeah.
Like baddest American belt, the BAM or some shit. You're going to get something like that, and it's going to be a weird kind of matchmaking.
That's like
you're going to get something like that, and they're going to call it a title fight. You're going to get real titles, but you are going to get some sort of weird White House belt, I bet.
That's like WWE. They have, the Intercontinental Champion. They have the U.S. Champion, but that's still not the World Heavyweight Champion.
It's going to be a one-off. It's going to be for Trump. I bet he designs a belt and it's going to have like fucking eagles on it or some shit.
I didn't even think of that. That's actually a pretty good take.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. What else you got?
Let's go ahead.
Bobby Balboa Hooker. Talk about the tight window a fighter has from a kid to training to becoming a fighter, and how many years they have to learn the craft and compete before they go on to work for a title. Obviously, there's outliers, but for people that aren't gifted, it's very real. Also, how long does it take to become a world class, and where you should put this is a loaded question, and where you should put your efforts into your training to get to a level where you can compete. Hard work will get you part of the way, but when you're competing with gifted fighters, it really shows levels. Yeah. So how do I want to answer this? So talk about the tight window a fighter has from a kid training to becoming a fighter. Yeah, I mean, I always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. But that being said, I think part of the problem, what's going on in the UFC today, is they're getting kids from like Dana White Contender Series who might have 4 or 5 fights. And it's a little different than when I was fighting, because there's a deeper pool now, so you can kind of get some experience in the UFC. But really, like, let's say I was a coach or my kids wanted to fight, I would tell them, get as much experience as you can outside the UFC. So maybe it's Brave FC, One Championship, PFL, I guess, that nobody watches. But, some of these other leagues, get as many opportunities as you can and as many different opponents as you can, and establish yourself. And when you get to the UFC, the number one goal is become a world champion. And that, because when you're in the UFC, it's go time. It's not a league, and maybe I'm biased because that's what happened to me, but it's not a league, or it's not an organization where you want to gain experience. Because when you sign to the UFC, you have such a short, to your point, you have such a short window to make a ton of money and get as famous as possible. And the only way to do that is fighting the very best in the world. You're not getting famous fighting on the prelims or fighting guys who aren't ranked in the top 15. So my advice to these young fighters is like, don't be in a rush to get to the UFC. It's not even that much money. So unless you get to a certain level. So get your experience in Brave, LFA, whatever it is, get all this experience. So when you get to the UFC, you're 15-0, 18-0, or whatever. It's 21-3, but you're ready to compete in the top 15 as soon as your foot hits that octagon. You've seen all styles. You're ready to make your run. you're ready to make your run.
I think
Otherwise, you're not going to be around very long.
I think he was asking too is like, and I was going to ask this too, is there a point where you're overcooked? You know what I mean? Where like, if you didn't reach the UFC by this age, is it like, are you, because there are, like you're saying, there's outliers, but could you have overdone it? Like now you've taken too much damage.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Oh,
You know?
but that's the other thing. Like if you're not dominating in these other leagues, like where you're not getting damaged, and also you're getting better in training camps, but you're getting actual fight experience in actual fights. But the training camps are what beat you up, but they're also where you gain all your learning. You're gaining all this stuff from camps and different opponents, so you're putting those tools in your arsenal. But you don't want to be like
Taking damage.
battle worn, and by the time you save that for the big paydays, dude.
Because like there's outliers like MVP, but for every MVP, there's probably so many people that are never going to make it to that top rung because they've cooked for too long or they took too much damage, right?
Yeah. So again, it's a good point. So you don't want to spend all your time in these other leagues, but you want to get to a point where you're just hitting your stride by the time you get to the UFC. My point is it's almost a disservice. Now, Gable Stevenson is different, right? Olympian, he's heavyweight. So heavyweight, there's like 12 good fighters on the earth, so that's different. But take a guy like Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal is learning before our eyes. He's learning in the UFC what he needs to work on, and he's losing fights. All that should have been figured out well before he got to the UFC.
Sure.
But they rushed him to it. So you see him like, Bo Nickal is one of the greatest wrestlers to ever grace the octagon, but you can tell when it comes to MMA, he's not putting it together like a GSP. That's not happening. So now he's forced, A, to get good matchups, or B, his training camp, they're trying to learn on the go, and it's not good.
And folks
because guys like Hamzat, you got guys like Hamzat who they figured out already. Armin, like you have these guys where, I know what I am. I know what to do. They're not figuring it out in co-main events, main cards. That's not where you want to figure things out.
Yeah, because you have to learn how to translate your folk style wrestling to the octagon because it's not an open mat. Like, you got to use the cage, and that's different than being.
And you got to use your striking to set up the takedown because you'll notice like a lot of times like he's either striking or he's wrestling, but he's not mixing the two. That's what made GSP's not the best wrestler. I trained with GSP forever. Like we would go to the Team Canada, the Olympics. We train with the Olympic team. You get destroyed.
Yeah.
But in MMA, what made him so good is he's able to mix the boxing with the wrestling, and you didn't know what the fuck was coming, and that was his advantage. Right now, Bo Nickal, he's having a hard time mixing them.
So what you're saying is basically like GSP would be the equivalent of a great chain wrestler, but instead of chain wrestling, he's using his striking as part of the chain.
Part of the chain, yeah. Where he has options.
Yeah.
Where right now, Bo's either wrestling or he's striking, but he's not blending the two. So the guys he's fighting are like, yeah, dude.
So it's telegraphed.
Yeah. So it's easier for them to figure out because he doesn't have the experience. Now, a guy of that athletic caliber, if he had more time and didn't get rushed to the UFC, man, when he figures that out, good fucking luck.
Yeah.
But again, he might not figure it out. That's the downside.
Yeah.
Because he's forced to fight these monsters at a world-class level where you don't have a ton of time. Also, the UFC ain't going to let you just sit out for 2 years and work on your, mechanics. You're in the big show, dude. You made it. Like, you're not going to fix your swing when you get to the fucking Dodgers. You should have done it in the minors.
Yeah.
Because if you're here, we're expecting you. You can play against anybody. If you get signed by the Dodgers, we're expecting you to be able to hit off Scooball, Paul Skeens. We don't give a fuck. We're paying you, dude. You're at the highest level for a reason. UFC, Bo Nick. We don't give a fuck if Hamzat's a bad matchup. That's who you're fighting, dude. And you got to be willing when you get to the UFC. Ed Soares said, well, I'll never forget this. He goes, I only sign guys where when they get to the UFC, there's no bad matchups for them. We have a certain skill set where we can find a way to win against anybody they offer us. So they call it. I never turn down a fight. I would go, yep, because my fighter can't figure out a way to beat that guy. He shouldn't be in the UFC. That's Ed Soares. He had Nogueira, Anderson, everybody, Machida, everyone. He's like, I never turn down a fight.
You think Bo Nickal's camp, if he was going to do the next camp, do you think 2-3 years Dagestan forget is like the way to go? Like go with the guys who have mastered what he could be doing? Or do you think he should be?
It's almost like he should be at an AKA where they've taken a guy like Cain Velasquez or DC and they've done a good job blending it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
But I will say this: if his next fight, let's say it's at the White House, if we don't see an improvement of the mixed martial arts and we see him just wrestling or just striking again, it's probably time to change camps. And I was very critical of his last camp, the last fight, not
For
this
RDA?
the current one, the one before that, where he lost a fucking RDR.
RDR, yeah. RDR, yeah.
It's like, buddy,
RDA.
what the fuck are we doing? You know?
Yeah.
So, and that's a hard discussion to have, man.
That's why, I mean, my opinion, if you actually went with like the Dagestani style, because they've perfected grappling, and it's like lean into what you're great at, and because he's a better wrestler than everybody
Everyone,
in the UFC,
including Hamza.
and they've figured out a way to translate that into the UFC. That's why I feel like that would be great for him.
And this is my thing. There's not enough hours in the day, especially now he's in the UFC. There's not enough hours in the day to get even a competent level of striking for Bo Nickal. I'm telling you guys, there's not enough hours in the day for him to go toe to toe with an actual striker in the UFC. That's not real. What is real is he goes, fuck striking. I'm just going to do enough where I don't look ridiculous out here, but I'm going to enforce my will like a Khabib, where if it goes to the fucking mat, which it will, this is over. Whether you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, a black belt in judo, whether you're a fucking world-class kickboxer, world-class boxer, I don't care. If I get you down, I'm going to break you.
It's like O'Malley's.
Why even entertain? Why are we even hitting fucking mitts every day?
That's my point.
Just fucking wrestle and break people, dude. But
It's like
again,
O'Malley
he's having
trying
a
to box.
problem of getting out of that freestyle wrestling stance and figuring it out not to get hit.
Yeah.
That's his issue.
Yeah.
But if he does figure it out, everybody's fucked.
Yeah. That's like O'Malley started, like, people are like, oh, he has to work on his wrestling. It's like,
Not enough hours.
I started wrestling at 8 years old, and everyone who's in the UFC probably that's a good wrestler started earlier than that. You're never going to compete with their level of wrestling. You could work on your takedown defense. That's really it.
That's it. There's nothing we can do. You got to enforce the tools you have and make it undeniable, where you can at least get them to play your game for a fraction of the round.
Yeah.
But outside that, we can only do what we got.
Exactly.
You're either a great striker, or great grappler. But when you're leaning into the grappling like Bo did for it's like, buddy, the fuck are we doing? You imagine Gable Stevenson fights Cyril Gane and he's just on the outside trying to kickbox? I'd be like,
Give it
the
up.
fuck are we doing? That's an ego thing.
Yeah.
Or bad coaching. This is from Jillian Williamson, JJJ. Thanks for the question, buddy. He says, why can wrestlers succeed at the highest level in their sport? NCAA championship, Olympics, but fail to perform under the bright lights in the UFC. All right, this is good timing. They were never afraid of getting hurt wrestling, even if they got concussed, torn ligaments, whatever, but they come to the UFC, they get beat by someone who never competed at the highest level in anything else besides fighting. They didn't showcase their skill set. Why is that? Example, Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades is a bad example, has a ton of wins. Aaron Pico. All right. This is a good question. Good examples too. So for Aaron Pico, right? Aaron Pico is a tough one too, because a high school national champ, and he was going to go to the Olympics, but decided to go straight to MMA. So he has a high pedigree of high school wrestling. But that's different than Bo Nickal and the rest of these dudes who are accolades in college and at the world stage. Completely different. But Aaron Pico also has a extensive background in amateur boxing, Golden Gloves champ, high-level boxing. And notice he leads face first. So for whatever reason, Aaron Pico's natural instinct is to strike instead of wrestling, where most guys with a high-level wrestling background, their first instinct when they get hit is to wrestle. And they usually can save face and get the guy down because they're such high-level wrestlers. And Pico has an issue where when the fire starts getting hot, he wants to stand and bang. And that's a huge fucking issue. But your example of they were never afraid of getting hurt in wrestling. Wrestling's wrestling, right? You're not getting hit in the face. Big, big difference. Wrestling when it comes to mixed martial arts. Completely different level of fear. Of getting head kicked, elbowed. Like there's just so many things you got to worry about. The issue these guys have, and most of them are successful. That's why Your question's a little weird. Curtis Blade's a bad example. Curtis Blade's a badass, and he's actually put it together pretty well. He just loses in some of the bigger fights, but he beats most guys. Bo Nickal's thing is he's not using his best skill set. He's decided to become a striker. That's an issue. And there's a ceiling on that. Again, he beat that last guy, right? Head kick, cool. But in order for him to be world champ, it's not going to be striking. It's just not. When he fights Hamzat, striking is not going to be the difference. It's going to be his wrestling. So he needs to lean into that. I don't know who's in his ear, what's going on there, but I don't like the road he's headed down, and he's one of my favorite fighters. But to your question, if you get these NCAA wrestlers, the Olympics, the Olympic pedigree, the national pedigree, even if they just wrestle at a Division I college like Ohio State, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Iowa, all that shit, usually the issue they have is they, like me and Nick just talked about, they can't blend the two. So they're either just striking or just wrestling, and they're not blending the two because they're not making a mixed martial arts bout. They're either just wrestling, which at the UFC level is super easy to get around with. We've seen it before, and they just light them up. Or they're just boxing and they don't have the skill set. So they're not having good careers. Mm-hmm. And they're getting forced too soon.
And no matter what anybody says, it's a different type of wrestling. Like I've wrestled, I've made it to, like you said, there's a difference in also high school and college. Like I made it to Virginia Beach Nationals high school, but I wrestled the D1. They brought in a Penn State guy to roll with me. And to this day, I don't know what happened. I feel like a car accident happened to me. I couldn't tell you what happened to me.
It's a completely different.
It's not even close.
Not even close.
And when you compare UFC wrestling, because I wrestled with Tim Kennedy in a boxing ring, and it was just weird for me because I'm like, now my back's against ropes. You know, I'm used to being able to like, okay, we could go out of bounds and then restart in the middle. Like,
and it's just a different type of wrestling, and it's hard to explain. It's just different. Where the stuff you get away with in freestyle, you're not going to get away in the octagon when there's knees, elbows, certain things they can hit you with. So it's different. That being said, people ask me all the time, should I get my kid in jiu-jitsu or wrestling? This isn't even close. Wrestling. It's the best. It's by far the best discipline in order for your child to succeed in other sports, but especially mixed martial arts. It's not even comparable. Mm-hmm. It's wrestling all day. My kids wrestle.
Yeah.
They're not going to fight. I'm never going to allow them to fight. I'll fight them myself. They're not going to fight. But wrestling teaches so many positive things for other athletics. So I tell my two kids all the time, like, Dad, we have wrestling. I'm like, you sure do. We do it twice a week. And they go, but we're missing baseball or football. I'm like, yes. Because nothing's going to get you in tune with your body from your toes to your head. Then wrestling, it's one-on-one competition. So if you could succeed in this, and there's no easy way out. In baseball, we can find a rest. Mm-hmm. In basketball, we can find a way to rest. In football, we're going to find a way to rest. In boxing, I can even find a way to rest. In wrestling, there's no time to rest. So even though you think you're tired, mentally, it's going to take you a whole nother category. Mentally, you're going to be so fucking tough. So I tell my kids all the time, the reason we wrestle, and they like it, I'm not forcing them to do it, but the reason they have to do it is because it's going to make you such a better football player, such a better baseball player. It's by far the best discipline you can do.
It also teaches you just like life lessons. Like you're less, like when you have that wrestling dog in you, you're less likely to give up in anything. You're going to be like, I'm going to find, if after years of just being like, you have to keep your head down and train, and you will, like, that's it. No, you're not flashy in wrestling. You're like, I need to go in the gym,
work,
I need to put my head down, and I need to work. And if I want to win, I'm going to have to keep my head down and work. And you learn that's a great skill to take into even business, to anything in life.
100%. And it's like, in wrestling, like the most athletic guy doesn't always win. So my son's very gifted athletically. Mm-hmm. With football, he can just show up, balls out. Baseball, he's athletic enough where he can figure it out, stands out, pitching, stuff like that. Wrestling, man, you might be the most athletic kid in the room, jump the highest, run the fastest. It doesn't fucking matter.
Watch John Jones shoot a basketball.
Yeah, you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
You got to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So that's why I love it.
Yep.
I love it. It's great. This is Chase Fuller. Can we get your take on Paddy versus Hooker, please? Oh boy, both kind of a fork in the road, right? I'm not one of these guys who thinks that's an easy fight for Paddy. Listen, we're all Paddy fans here. I'm sure you guys are Paddy fans. If you think that's an easy outing for Paddy, you are sorely mistaken. Yes, Hooker's fallen on rough times, but I'll ask you this. Who's more dangerous when it comes to stand-up? Like, as far as, like, straight damage? Hooker.
You think so?
That's like elbows, kicks. His fundamentals and his technique is way better than Paddy. Paddy's striking is not good. Not a high level. Paddy's special when he gets on your back and he exchanges the grappling exchanges. Okay, cool. Gamrot had a tough time taking Hooker down. Hooker beat Gamrot, who's phenomenal at wrestling. Even with Benoit Saint Denis, when he would shoot in on fucking Hooker, Hooker was threatening all sorts of submissions. He got him down with the wizard, and he's a judo black belt. Paddy's not. So my other question for the Paddy fans out there, how does Paddy get Hooker's back? Unless Hooker just fights like a freaking dumbass and makes mistakes. How's Paddy going to get Hooker down? He's forced to strike with him. This isn't a walk in the park for Paddy if you're looking for an easy payday for him. That's another bloody fucking fight. And Hooker fancies himself a fucking bloody fight.
Yeah.
So if you want more years taken off Paddy's life, this would be the fight to do. This is by no means a walk in the park or a cakewalk for fucking Paddy. Because you look at his skill set, how's he get Hooker down? Then he's forced to strike with Hooker. Hooker technically is a better striker. He's more dangerous. What the fuck are we going to do?
I will say, though, I think Chandler's a better wrestler, and he was able to get Chandler down, right?
True. True.
Because Paddy has I hate to use the word the dog in him, but like he's always
He
ready
finds
to...
a way.
Yeah.
He finds a way, but I will say this.
And he scraps
I should
hard.
say this. Hooker has more tools to finish the fight than Chandler. How's Chandler going to beat Paddy? Maybe catch him with a big overhand?
Yeah.
Outside that, he's not going to submit him.
Yeah.
Hooker fucking dangerous, dude.
Hooker is dangerous.
Jiu-jitsu wise, black belt too, Paddy black belt, but I would give the edge to Paddy if it goes to the ground. But again, maybe it's a fight. That's not an easy. First of all, I'll tell you, it's a great fight. But again, those people, which I am a Paddy fan, if you think that's by any means a shoe-in or a easy fight for Paddy just to get back on the winning path, you're sorely mistaken. That fight should be a minus 120 for both fighters. I don't know who wins that fight. I guarantee you it's fucking bloody.
I would still put
Hooker's
my money
a dog,
on,
man.
I'd put my money on Paddy, but like you said, it's not a walk in the park. It's actually, because I just looked it up. I didn't realize he's 31 years old. That's not the fight you want to be taking at this point in his career.
You're going to be in a fight. Hooker's a fucking
how
dog.
much longer does Paddy have in the UFC if he's 31 now?
We got to get going.
We have to only take someone who's going to get his confidence back.
I'll tell
That's
you what.
not going to get his confidence back.
No, by any means. That ain't the fight. If you're a Paddy fan, and take my love for Paddy and take my love for both fighters out of it. Let's just talk about it as a business. You're Mick Maynard, or you're the Sean Shelby. You're the matchmakers, which apparently isn't Dana White anymore. So let's say you're the matchmaker for the UFC. Hooker's stock is down here. He's kind of in the Cowboy Cerrone days where we don't give a fuck if he wins or loses, but we're tuning into Hooker fight. He's must-see TV. Hooker's the man. But he's never going to be champion. His career he has 2 or 3 left max. If he loses the next 2, it's probably cut. Either way, he's in that rare air where when he fights, we tune in, we know he's entertaining. Cool. Paddy has the potential to be our biggest draw. He by far he checks all boxes besides wrestling. He checks all boxes in strike. He has knockout power. But you know what I'm saying? He's a bona fide fucking star. He's must-see TV. Must-see TV. He has star quality written all over him. We don't have many other stars. Hooker's not the fight in order to grow Paddy and make sure he gets a win. And Paddy's 31. We have got to get fucking going. The issue is you have Ilya Topuria as your champ. Paddy's never beat. Guys, stop. He's never beaten Ilya.
No.
You have Armin Sarukian there. Guys, he's never beaten Armin. What the fuck are we going to do? But we need the star power of Paddy.
Yeah.
That's why Paddy makes all the fucking sense.
I would love that.
That's the fight.
That's handing off the reins of the superstar to the superstar.
And in the UK and Ireland, Paddy's stardom goes whoop, and you have the face of. So we got to be delicate with this. But Paddy's he's a different animal. He's all right. Hooker, no. Mm-mm.
I have to tell you something about Hooker off air later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's awesome. What's this?
Lewis
_ Marina 87, Marin 87. What was the experience like at Madison Square Garden? So this would be my second time at Madison Square Garden, and then when I fought Crow Cop, our press conference was at Radio City Music Hall. So I've been around the area. First time at Madison Square Garden, I was commentating the Fedor Mitrione fight, Aaron Pico's fight. So I've been there before, but never just to enjoy it. Like I had so much shit to do, so I really didn't get to take it in. This time I was a guest, right? I didn't have to. The night before, obviously my anxiety's through the roof, doing the roast and the hot takes with all the world class boxers there, so that was different. But this, I got to be with my wife, walk the red carpet. I was just a fan. I was there as a guest of His Excellency. It was the best event I've ever been. It was awesome. And I'm looking up at the rafters. They have the Rangers jerseys and the fucking retired New York Knicks. I'm like, oh my God,
I love
dude.
that Madison
It's
Square
so
Garden.
cool. Like you feel the legacy. And to make it even cooler, to my left, I have Bernard Hopkins commentating on the fight for me. And then to my right is Carl Anthony Towns, Big Cat, who's talking to me about the UFC. It was like, dude, this is insane.
How big is that guy in real life?
He's huge. His
Yeah.
foot's fucking like this. Yeah, he's awesome.
I love that dude. I have his jersey at home.
Yeah, he was cool. Biggest UFC fan.
Is he?
Knows his shit, dude.
Really?
Oh, and he loves Volkanovski. He's like, dude, you think you can get done at 37? Have you seen the odds of?
I would have
I'm like,
never guessed that.
oh, you know your shit. He's like, oh yeah, dude, I saw you fight Crow Cop. I'm like, oh, buddy,
Get the
we're
fuck out of
cooking.
here.
Oh, he's
That's
awesome.
cool.
Awesome.
That's fucking cool. So you had a fucking blast there.
Best time I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Matty Almas. My question to you, what would you do with a Sugar rematch? What would you do with Sugar? A rematch with Jan? Nope. Corey, and if he loses either one, is he finished at 35? Yeah, I am curious. Again, I told you guys, he's not beating Merab. The Jan fight might be there, but obviously Merab's getting the next title shot. So again, similar to Paddy, we have a Star and Sugar. So we got to be careful because there's a ceiling right now until those champions leave. I think Corey makes the most sense. Corey Sandhagen, it's a fun fight. All the fans, we want to see it. It's a great matchup. That makes sense. But I am curious because there's more potential fights for him at 45. Like, is 45 too much for him? Because he's a big, tall dude. I feel like he could go 45.
He's like an ectomorph body, though.
He's
It's going to be
skinny.
hard for him to put that weight on. I don't know how that's going to work out. for him.
I'd probably say he walks around at 160, 170.
Yeah.
I assume. I don't know. But maybe 160. So I would like to see him at 145. There's a lot more matchups there because at 35, I don't know what. So let's say he did fight Corey Sandhagen, or let's say they did give him, for the reason, let's say Merab can't fight Jan, so they give him a title shot. He loses to Jan. Then what do we do?
You think he loses the Jan rematch?
Not necessarily. That first fight was fucking close though, and Jan looked fucking phenomenal. So I just don't. So you see, he walked around at 160. So I think 45 is a possibility. It gives them a new life, a new reign on potential big matchups. Because I don't know what's left at 35, especially if we were to lose this next one. There's really not many options until Jan or Merab, especially Merab, were to leave. And at 45, there's new blood. He's getting older, so he's not kind of as much weight. There's more potential matchups there.
He also has
Also, the champ, Volkanovski doesn't have a ton of time left, so who knows? I just feel like there's new blood there.
I don't know if you agree with this, but like his last fight, right? He didn't look like the same Sugar Sean that fought Cheeto,
There's a reason for that.
because he doesn't have that confidence that he used to have.
There's a reason for that. Because he's coming off 2 losses. Coming off 2 losses, and
I've never seen him so conservative.
that's what happens. Because when I had 2 losses, if you lose the third, you're probably getting cut. Or this day and age, it's a little different, but especially when I was fighting, I lost to Nogueira, Ben Rothwell, 2 knockouts. They give me LeVar Johnson, who was the hardest hitter in the division at the time. Like, holy fuck, I have to win this.
Yeah.
How can I win and not get knocked out? He can't wrestle, I can. I don't give a fuck if the crowd's booing. I'm not going to take a fucking shot. I have to win this by any means necessary. I took him down more times than he's ever been taken down. The crowd was booing. They're frustrated. I don't give a fuck. My job's on the line.
Yeah.
I fought very conservatively, very safe. Sugar Sean there, no chances. Took no chances. He just did enough to win. And let me move. All right, this guy's tough. He can knock me out. I'm going to do just enough so I can continue to fight. That's what's going on there.
I would rather see him fight Jan just because he already has that confidence of I've already beaten this guy, and I'd like to see him let his hands flow again.
Yeah.
Just because he was not like he was throwing a punch, backing up, throwing a punch. He wasn't putting together any combinations, and that's what I used to love to see at him. He's such a good boxer, and
he doesn't want to be there for the counter.
And I do think that Jan, because Jan obviously worked on the wrestling for Marab, but I do think against Sugar Sean, I think that's when Jan's going to go boxing.
Yep.
And we're going to see a fireworks.
I'd rather see. I'd also like to put that to rest, like, because that first one was pretty controversial.
Yeah.
That one was close.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see a rematch. You know.
Yeah.
And maybe let's say Jan wins that. Okay, now it's 1-1. You could do a third, maybe. You know.
I will say
though, Marab there.
Dong, that fight, I can't wait to see him fight again.
Yeah.
He is a dog.
He's a dog. He's just the guy that's never going to be champ. He's just the guy that when he fights the elite of the elite, he's going to lose. Great fighter, top 5, top 8 guy, will never be champ.
I'll say I'm a Sugar Sean guy, but that fight could have went either way.
100%. Close one.
If you would have said Dong won, I would have went.
Yeah, nobody got robbed.
Yeah.
You know? What else you got, Jen? Andre, AK Mexi 33. Question for the Thursday show. Would you ever take a job with UFC? You always seem to have a good idea on matchmaking. Your knowledge plus experience being so much more than average. Any chance you bring back food truck out there in Austin area? Interesting. Would I ever take a job with the UFC? Yeah, I mean, I love the UFC. Bleed, you cut my fucking wrist and Bob O'Reilly comes out, you know? Fucking Teenage Wasteland. I bleed and love the UFC. I'm passionate about the UFC. Would I take a job with them? I saw this question a few days ago. I thought about it. When I got into podcasting, right, and decided to leave the UFC, there's a fork in the road you can go down, right? And you'll see a lot of guys, and I don't blame for it. They're probably doing better than me. Where if you're gonna talk shit about the UFC or you're gonna go against Dana White and UFC fighter pay and all this stuff, you're going to be on your own. You're not going to be a corporate guy. You're never going to work for ESPN. You're never going to work for Fox. You're never going to work for Paramount because of the things you've said. I knew that going down that road, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I work for myself. I'm my own boss. And I've worked for corporations before, right? Like Showtime and CBS, Fox. I worked for ESPN. But then I started talking freely about my experiences, what I was dealing with the UFC. I knew at that time it was going to burn that bridge, and that's the bet I got to lie in. Now we're down the road. I have no qualms with Dana. I appreciate it more than ever. I love the UFC. If they asked me to do anything for them, I would drop everything and do it in a heartbeat. I think those days are done because of my past, if that makes sense. So, you know, would I like to commentate? Yeah, I love commentating. I just got 2 new offers to do MMA commentating. I do love commentating. It's just tough for me to agree to it, to leave my family, right? I don't like leaving Austin. But I'm definitely open to it. I just think that as much as I would love to work for the UFC, I just don't see them reaching out, if that makes sense. And I also and I appreciate the kind words. Like, you always seem to have a good idea on matchmaking, my knowledge. And I appreciate it. I'm not special, man.
I think there's a thing called a company man, right? And there's guys like DC, and he's a company man where it's like, he could never have a take that would paint the UFC bad, even if he truly felt that in his heart. And like, you got guys like Dom, there's those guys who they're going to always toe the company line. And even like their hot takes aren't anything that could ever be like, because if you've said like things that you don't agree with, like whether it's fighter pay or this or that, like they can't do that. And you've already done that. But
now, part of me, not to interrupt you, now part of me is envious of them. Like their life is easier than mine. Like I have to hustle. Man. Like I have to hustle to pay the mortgage. I have to hustle, right? I got to work my ass off. I don't have a steady paycheck from the UFC or from Paramount. I'm an entrepreneur. I gotta hustle and do clicks and stuff and this and this and this and this sponsor and this. Where those guys don't have to worry about that. Their life is much more simpler than mine. In order for me to live the life that I want my kids to have, I have to grind 7 days. I have no day. I have to grind, man. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. Some days I get tired. And then some days I'm like, man, if I would have just shut my fucking trap. But who knows? Am I better than Dom or Michael Bisping? No. So also, like, I made this path for myself. You know, I was the first professional athlete to ever have a podcast. Like, that's cool, man. You know?
Yeah.
And Fighting Kid at the time, you know, we did the UFC Expo. We're the first live podcast associated with the UFC.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's give or take, you know, because the reason I'm sure, especially the old heads, a lot of reason you guys have been a fan of mine or you're with me for this long is because, you know, I'm a wild boy and I shoot from the hip and I have these hot takes, right? That comes with a price. And the price was the UFC doesn't fuck with me.
Yeah.
You know? And it sucks because I love them. You know?
It's like the difference between a clean comedian and like a clean company comedian and a dirty comedian. Yeah, you could be yourself or you could be the guy who gets all the corporate gigs, and those guys make a ton of money. Even if they're not famous, they're millionaires.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's an easier life.
it's easier life, but they never get to fully express themselves. Because I know you know these comics off stage,
yeah.
and they're the biggest dirtbags sometimes of them all.
Yeah, dirtballs. But
And I would never say their names, but
No, I
like
know.
some of them are multimillionaires because they decided this is the smart route, but they'll never be able to fully express themselves.
yeah, and think about it, I've worked for basically every promotion but the UFC. I've worked for Bellator. I've worked for One Championship. I've worked for Game Bread. I've worked for Bare Knuckle. All of them, Bubba. All of them.
And you've been unapologetically yourself the whole time.
Yeah, I guess that's cool, but it's exhausting.
Sure, yeah.
But it's the bet it's the bet I made. It's the bet I made, and I don't know. But again, let's say I didn't do that. You know, I'm not as good as Bisping and Paul Felder and those guys. I'm different. You know, I don't know if there's a place for me. I'm so close with a lot of the UFC people. Nick Maynard's my boy. Sean Shelby's my boy. Reed Harris, like a lot of the employees, like Nina. I'm cool with all of them.
Yeah.
You know, Dana's like an elephant. I love the guy. I don't really talk shit about him. If I have an issue, I'll say it on the show, but I usually defend him, you know?
I do think there's a need for both sides, though, because like guys like you, guys like Ariel Helwani could never work for the UFC ever again.
And that's a shame.
And he's fucking amazing. Like you can't take anything away from him.
He's the best we have.
But you need that because you need someone who's going to say these takes that a company man can't say.
And really, UFC is the only major league, like MLB, NBA, NFL, like Stephen A. Smith or these people on ESPN, they criticize all the teams, all the leagues, all the players, but no one gets butthurt.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, it's forget me. Like I'll never get invited to the UFC. It's just not in the cards for me. It is what it is. But the route they're going and not having major journalists like Ariel Helwani or Luke Thomas, I'm telling you, it's going to bite them in the ass. Because my dad's not tuning into me. He's not tuned into Nina drama.
Yeah.
The regular people, the regular people, the 9-to-5ers who are just turning on TV to watch they're not on YouTube. They're not listening to my dumbass hot takes or Nina's silly stuff. They're not doing that. But they will listen to a guy like Ariel or Luke Thomas.
Sure.
So you're losing that. And those guys, like me, make a living off commentating, critiquing the UFC.
Yeah.
And to exile them out, I'm telling you, if 10 years down the road, the UFC on decline, that's going to be one of the major sticking points. You guys took out those guys. It's not smart. And then you know, I wouldn't consider myself a real smart guy. Ariel is, Pete Carroll, Chuck Mendenhall, Luke Tom. Like you're talking, they're fucking legit smart people that love the sport, dude. They're actual journalists, dude.
Yeah.
But they're doing what my dumbass does. And it's not good.
I'm sure you agree with this. I feel like people like Ariel who actually he's not scared. Like he'll press UFC fighters hard, you know? And if you just fluff piece everybody, you don't ever get to find out what they're really about. And that's what I love about the UFC. You get to find out, like, I love Aaron Judge. I'm a Yankee fan from the Bronx. I don't know what he's
You know
like.
nothing about him.
I know nothing.
You know nothing.
I know the little bit you have seen on Instagram, that's it. That's what I love about UFC fighters. You get to learn their backstory. You get to learn what they're all about, where they came up from. Like,
You have to.
You know what I
don't
mean?
Make enough money.
And without
just-
guys like Ariel, you would never know any of that.
Yeah. And to close this out, he goes, any chance you bring back Food Truck Diaries? I get that all the time. I don't know where I'd find the time, right? We just had this second show a week. I don't know. I'd be open to it. I don't have the same access anymore. That pathway was tightened on me. I won't get into that, but as far as my access to the fighters, when I was with Showtime, that made it easy and they book them. Obviously, I have my close friends, but that's 6 or 7 Food Truck Diaries. You're not going to make a full season off of it. So as far as getting like the other guys, I would need the UFC's help. They don't need me. They have Nina. They have other outlets, the Nelk Boys. So it's like, you know, I'm an old head, man. They're not worried about me. So yeah. Should we do one more?
It's up to you.
Sure.
Eroka.
ERROKAH. We can't end up. Let's end on a fight one, but I'll answer this. How are you adjusting life in Texas? Do you love it or hate it? The kids' sports, Texas, Cali, being away from your wife's family. Wife's family's with me. They live with me, so it's fantastic. Absolutely love Texas. I was thinking about this. Like, you hear guys like Shane Gillis and Tim Dillon be like, dude, Austin sucks. And I think if you're single and you don't have a family, Austin's probably not great. You would know better than me, Nick.
I could answer this pretty.
Yeah, but as far as like I live in the suburbs, family, I need good schools, good sports. It's paradise. It's insane. It's insane. I will say this though. Everyone's like, get ready for Texas sports. As far as a rec level league, as far as the rec league goes, Cali destroys Texas. Destroys it. The rec in Texas is the rec in Cali is a lot better in Texas. Now, travel ball teams, better here. Travel ball teams more serious here, football more serious here. But as far as rec league goes, for the younger kids, Cali destroys them.
I will say though, as far as all the comedians that shit on Austin and be like, oh, it's not as good as New York for a living, every single one of them is a multimillionaire. There is every comic that I know that's my level that's come out here is like, this is the life. This is amazing. If you could afford a house in the Hamptons like Tim Dillon, sure, of course it's awesome to live in New York City.
Yeah.
But when you're from the Bronx like me, and then that compared to Austin, Texas, there's no fucking comparison. Like, I could afford to live
A better
here.
life.
Yeah, like I could afford things, you know what I mean? And like I could live a pretty good life here. Meanwhile, in New York, it's $300 to walk outside.
Of course.
You know, if you have millions of dollars in the bank, of course.
Everywhere, but that was my thing with, like, you know, obviously Rogan and Tom Segura tell me how great Texas is, and I'm like, yeah, but you guys could live in Iraq and it's lit. Like, you have so much money. I'm not them.
When you have millions of
we're not
dollars,
the same tax bracket.
Yeah,
So
it's a
like
different life.
Hopefully it works out. Yeah, it's great here.
Yeah,
it's dope.
Of course, Tim Dillon likes New York. He has a mansion in the Hamptons.
Correct. It's awesome.
Everybody would want to live there. That's
exactly.
awesome.
Hollywood.a.j. I'm from Pueblo, 2 hours south of your hometown of Denver. I've been to Pueblo, my man. Not the prettiest area. That's okay. A question I'd like to ask is, if you were able to coach on Ultimate Fighter, who would it be against? Being that the Ultimate Fighter is where you got your start, and your favorite MMA movie. I don't like MMA movies. I don't watch them. Everyone says the one Brian was in is like the best MMA movie of all time. Warrior. I just don't watch.
Never Back Down was pretty sick back in the day.
With Channing
I don't know if he was
Channing
in it.
Tatum. Is that him?
No,
Was he in it?
It was another. But your boy Todd Duffy was in one of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't watch fight movies just because the fighting looks so fake. So I never get down with them. I like the boxing ones. Like the Mickey Ward one was great. The Fighter. Mm-hmm. I like those, but when they're MMA, I stay away from them for
Rocky,
whatever reason.
obviously.
Yeah, Rocky, of course. Blood sport, for God's sakes. But if I was coaching on Ultimate Fighter, that'd be tough. The reason I would do it is because I'd have to leave my family for 8 weeks. That ain't happening. Nobody watches Ultimate Fighter. That's the other problem.
I'm the only person who still
still watch it?
I love Ultimate Fighter.
shit.
I've been
yeah.
watching since the first season with Forrest Griffin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's just not. It doesn't hit the same these days.
No.
Yeah, I can't believe they're still doing it. Dana White Contender Series destroys it. Like, it's so much better fighting, more talent.
I know. I just like the
reality series.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I probably wouldn't do it, Bubba. Is that it?
That's it.